All right, boom. So, how do you make the right move when you're anxious, you're not making money, and every decision feels like it could be the wrong one? Like you may be messing up. So, there's pretty much a Stoic operating system that killed any anxiety I had and grew my revenue, grew my business, improved my mindset. And I wish somebody had handed it to me when I was sitting in a college classroom wondering what the hell I was even doing there. So, it's pretty much three rules that I run every single day, and I'm going to walk you through each one by one. And I'm also going to give you the 7 day challenge at the end that pretty much forces you to drive revenue, whether you feel ready or not. So I'll actually take you guys back to 2025, late 2025, Q4. So I think it was like September. No, yeah, late September, early October, somewhere around that time. In a college classroom, I think I was in business analytics or some shit like that. And I was just genuinely there asking myself, like, bro, what are we even doing here? Like, what's the point of this? No, like that's literally what was going through my mind. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the point of this, bro? Like, I need to do something now. I need to get something going now. So I had just started my agency like in that same month, I believe, and I think I was like down like 2K from where I had been the month before, maybe like a month or two into it. So not broke in the traditional sense, but bleeding, right? You're bleeding, and just watching the number go in the wrong direction. And the worst part wasn't even the money; it was the noise. Like I really couldn't think that straight, you know. Um, Wake up, open my phone, spend a good amount of the day just really reacting to everything, um, except the one thing that would actually drive growth in the business, right? Um, and that's pretty much when I found Stoics, right? And that's what I implemented to actually like see a change, right? And it wasn't like the motivation sort of thing; it was more so like a system. It's pretty much three dials, and that's about it. I'm going to take you through each one of them one by one. So the number one thing is perception, right? It's a matter of seeing clearly. So not what you fear is happening, but what actually is happening, right? So every morning I'd wake up and I'd write down two columns, like on my phone, like in the notes app type shit. So pretty much there are facts and stories. Facts are what you can verify, stories are what you're telling yourself about the facts. And pretty much, let's say I'm down 2K for the month. That's a fact, right? But my business is failing and I made the wrong choice dropping out. That's a story that you tell yourself, which is complete bullshit. And you cannot act on a story. You can only act clearly on facts and make good decisions based on facts. But a lot of people they act on stories that they tell themselves. And what happens when you do that is those stories they're never true to begin with, but you create a reality that like affirms that that story is true, if that makes sense. And that's very dangerous. Like you have to clearly differentiate this is a fact and this is a story, with the latter that I just explained being a story. And you have to just make decisions and just block out any story, just focus on the facts. Or if you're going to create a story, as a matter of fact, create one that actually benefits you, right? Don't create a story like, hey, my business is failing and I made the wrong decision. That's a bad story to tell yourself. Tell yourself a good story, something that's actually useful. But the main thing being there are facts and there are stories. Separate them, focus on the facts. Now, number two, action, right? It really comes down to doing the essential. One, revenue producing output by X time, for example, not 10 things, you know. In this case, for like an agency, marketing agency, that would most likely be outreach, right? Um, so in my case, it was just spamming outreach, spamming outreach, and just focusing strictly on that because that's what's going to drive revenue and actually allow us to build the business and invest in every other aspect of the business. Just focusing on that one thing, fucking off everything else, not worrying about things that are going to come down the line. Just focusing on that one thing. Um, and the reason you do this is because you have power over your mind, not outside events, right? And the action that you control is the input, and the outcome is just a result of that. Just focus strictly on the input, and really everything's going to work out eventually. And then number three comes down to will, right? So you have to love what happens. There are quote unquote good things and bad things that happen in your life. Once again, just based on the story that you tell yourself, you have to truly appreciate everything that happens in your life. Everything is a lesson. Everything is something that teaches you. What doesn't kill you kills you, make you stronger. So you really just have to appreciate everything. when a client churns, when a launch flops, when a month goes sideways. Your job is not to avoid it, it's to become anti-fragile from it, right? Towards it. Because it really isn't what happens to you, it's how you react to it that matters at the end of the day. So every setback is data, every loss is, in addition to your life curriculum, right? The person, the founder, the entrepreneur, the individual who can absorb a punch and move forward, they're going to win every single time, no matter what. So pretty much back then, I think it was like late September, early October, 2025, when I started doing this, I pretty much just set one rule, which is do outreach and just spam that shit until I get my first client, and then just repeat, profitable actions. So I pretty much stopped trying to figure out everything at once. I stopped trying to optimize, every aspect of the business at the same time. I pretty much picked one output per day and I just booked it, bro. I just went all in. And that was the first month that I actually locked in 10K that month. And it wasn't because I found a new strategy. It wasn't because the market changed. It was because I cleared my mind and I executed one thing every single day. Anxiety dropped. And it wasn't because my situation changed overnight, but it was because I had proof that I could execute. And if you have proof that you can execute, the noise gets a lot quieter and you start focusing on the things that actually matter. It's self-reinforcing. It's a self-reinforcing mechanism. So here are the things that you pretty much can do starting today. The number one thing being, when you wake up, you need to get some morning clarity. Ideally, you want to open if you have like a journaling notebook, or you can use maybe like a notes app on your phone, but you pretty much want to separate two things, two columns, facts, stories, and you'll just write down everything in your life that is stressing you. So you just go through each one and ask, is this a fact or is it a story? And you'll separate them. And then you pretty much want to just cross out each story and only act on the facts for the day. And based on those facts, you're going to create essential deliverables in the business, right? Or whatever it may be in life. So one thing that you can do to directly produce revenue if it goes well, whether that be an offer, an outreach sequence, whatever it may be, an upsell, whatever. That step three really comes down to, at the end of the day, reflecting, right? You did those things, right? So we're going to assume you did those things. How did you respond when something went wrong that day? Not what went wrong, but how did you respond? Did you roll with the punches? Did you keep moving forward? Did you, act even more boldly, even more aggressively? Did you do the things that actually, you should be doing, right? Because that's really the only thing that's worth tracking at the end of the day. And that's about it. 3 steps, 5 minutes in the morning, a certain set period of time of focused output, and then like 2 to 5 minutes at night. That's pretty much the entire operating system, really. So, late 2025, down like 2K, sitting in college, wondering what I was even doing with my life. First month locked in, 10K in revenue. Once again, not because I got lucky, but because I pretty much just cleared my mind and just focused on the most important task every single day. Clear mind, clear decisions, clear money. That's really what it comes down to. And that's pretty much what locking in looks like. And I'm just getting started. I'm pretty much on the road to $1 million a month, and I'm just documenting every step of the way throughout the entire process, just documenting it. And yeah, at this part of the video, I'm going to give you the 7-day challenge, where pretty much you can pick your model and just ship one output every single day. Yeah, pretty much. So the first thing is, let's say you're running like an agency or service business. Really, it's going to come down to like one proposal, one offer, or like one outreach message. If you're running ads, tweaking your ads, but something to do with actually acquiring a client every single day, throughout a certain time in the day. Ideally, when it comes to outreach, you want to do that throughout the actual day. So from the early hours in the day, morning, maybe even afternoon, and then at night you probably want to focus on the fulfillment side of things. That's if you actually have clients. But throughout that slot in the day, like morning all the way to like 5-6 p.m., whatever it may be, depending on your schedule, you just want to be focused strictly on outreach, actually getting clients, actions that's actually going to drive more clients, pretty much. If you're running like, Amazon or e-commerce or some shit, that's going to come down to actually sourcing more good leads. So more brands that you can work with, more things that you can sell, maybe supplier outreach, things of that sort. If you're like doing coaching or content, it's probably going to come down to just you creating more content. And if you're still figuring out your model, you're not really sure what it is, just focus on one skill building output that actually moves you towards revenue in some way, like a cold email, product research session with the decision at the end of it. Just rip it, bro. Just rip it. And then also make sure to track everything, like in a notes page or a Notion board, the date, the deliverable, the outcome, and those are the main columns. That's like a scoreboard that you can keep. And here's the rule: if you don't actually do what you said you're or what you're setting out to do by that time in the day, whatever you decide that is, fuck it, just rip 50 push-ups. Not really as a punishment, just as a pattern interrupt, because your body needs to know that the day isn't just free, like you're just doing whatever. And that's pretty much about it. 7 days, one output per day, and watch what happens to your anxiety and watch what happens to your revenue. Definitely do that. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Make sure to comment, execute if you're actually going to do what I discussed in this video. And make sure to subscribe as well, because I'm going to be documenting the full road to $1 million per month in real time in revenue. So I'll post like pretty much consistently, weekly going forward. That's the goal. I think I'm up to 3 videos this week, which is good. So I'm going to be a lot more consistent with YouTube. I'm going to make a lot better content as well. Like, I'm really stepping this shit up when it comes to content and, just making it good for you guys. So make sure to lock in. Make sure to, once again, comment, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.